We want to do the swearing in before we start the meeting. He wants to. I thought I put it between the pledge of allegiance and public. It is almost 6 o'clock. If we'll all stand, Brian, would you lead us in the pledge of allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen.
I said, Brian,
I know what you.
I had Brian down, but then he's not here yet. I looked at you and
I'm good.
said that. Okay. Before we start our next item, I would like for us to let Chief Todd swear in our new officer.
Actually, that would be, you'll do that. You raise your right hand.
That's me.
Yes, ma'am.
That'll be you.
Repeat after me. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support the constitutions of the United States
that
and
I will support the Constitution of the United States
of the state of Tennessee
and the state of Tennessee
and the ordinance of the town of Chapel Hill,
and the ordinance of the town of Chapel Hill,
and will well and faithfully perform the duties imposed upon me as a police officer
and will well perform the duties appointed to me as a police officer
of the town of Chapel Hill
of the town of Chapel Hill
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
and that I will serve the United States,
and I will serve the United States,
state of Tennessee,
state of Tennessee,
and the town of Chapel Hill
and the town of Chapel Hill
honestly and faithfully,
honestly and faithfully,
and will obey the orders
and will obey the orders
of the officers and officials
of the officers and officials
placed over me according to the law.
placed over me according to the law.
Welcome to the board.
Thank you.
All right. You name.
Do I need to sign?
Yes. This is Troy Childers. Like we had just witnessed, he's been sworn in as our newest officer. He'll be in training for a good bit of time. He comes from Texas. He'll be transferring here, so we have some training that he'll be attending to be certified in Tennessee, and then he'll do his field training. So it'll be a little while before he's on the road, but I know that the board likes to meet our newest officer, so this is Troy.
Okay, now we will have our public hearing for ordinance 2021-03, which is rezoning. Anyone here to speak for or against this zoning? Hearing none, let's have roll call.
Alderman Morton.
Here.
Alderman Hill.
Here.
Alderman Sedlak.
Yes.
Alderman Falconberry. Here. Alderman Joyce.
Here. We have a quorum, but he's on his way. Approval of the agenda. I believe we have one that needs to be withdrawn.
Yeah, I would recommend that we withdraw D until we can get a little bit more information on that and maybe bring that back up.
B,
D.
D, 11D.
At another time.
Do I have a motion to remove?
I'll make a motion.
I have a motion.
Second.
I have a motion by Falconberry and a second by Morton. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. If you will look at the approval of the minutes, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
I have a small question on
Okay.
on the planning commission. It's not important.
Okay,
I just want you to know I did read it. It says that there was one member absent, and then it says quorum was established with all members being present. Is that contradictory?
right. That is contradictory, and.
Just like quorum was established,
And
period.
let's strike with all members being present. With that correction, do I hear a motion to approve? I have a motion by Alderman Hill, I have a second by Alderman Falconberry. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Any opposition? Minutes are approved. At this time, we're going to move on to citizen input. Before we start that, I do want to say something. I'm glad to see all the people here for citizen input. I have a feeling that quite a bit of that is going to be about water, which is a problem that we certainly had with the last storms. As a group, we are very aware of that, and we have are having a special called meeting, which will be April the 27th, to address concerns that you may have. So tonight, I'm hoping that we have someone to pass this out. Brian, before you sit down, if you have concerns about water and would like to address and make comments about water, that we can have our engineer address on the 27th. So he will know your concern, he will be able to study your concern, and maybe, hopefully, be able to address that problem. I would like for you to fill that out, so it will be returned and he will be able to see it. Because we can talk about it, but I don't think there's anyone here that has any answers to that, because we've been working on this. I love the history. I've been reading the minutes going back to the 1920s, and guess what they were doing in the 1920s? Addressing stormwater issues. So hopefully this will help, and you can address the board then on April 27th, 6 p.m. Engineer will be here, if that's okay.
Is there a place on there, Ms. Joyce, to mark whether they're in city limits or
There is
county, so
there
we know
is-
who to? Is this your area, Craig? Is that your? Okay. Just to make sure we can all collaborate to who's who and make sure that we're directed in the right direction.
There is an address on there for the person who is wanting to make a public comment about it. And there is an address for where the problem is. You know, because I know there are people here who own property that are not physically where they live. And so we're going to collect these. The engineer will be here, and I can't say he's going to be able to solve your problem, but he will at least have looked at the problem and will be able to answer you, and then we can maybe go from there.
So what if we came up with the question that night and we hadn't submitted it in advance?
I would assume that then he would be able to take that under
We would take.
and research it, because, you know, yes.
I can make a suggestion. Maybe we need to have a meeting with leaders and a discussion about the whole area down here, what's going on, city and county leaders both. Anything we can do to help out.
Well, that might be a possibility. I'm, because Chapel Hill really has very few, I believe, I'm not sure how many live on the west side of the railroad track. And I know there's a lot of concern with that. But you might want to set that up and ask, with Mark or Kelly here in the office, and then we could set a meeting up for that, pretty much.
Ma'am,
Yes.
I brought 10 copies with me of the water that I wanted to address this evening, so I'll hold it. Can I go ahead and give you all the 10 copies that I have, so that way they can at least be passed along to the engineer?
Sure, you can leave that with us here.
We'll take it.
Yes, and that will be passed along, and then you can come back on April the 27th.
Yes, ma'am. There's
Mary,
9. I have.
May I speak? Mary,
Yes.
yeah, why would people in the county be coming here for their water problems? I don't understand.
Well, we can't figure that out either.
We're have that problem as well. We don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they don't know whether they live in the city limits or not?
If they have if they have a Chapel Hill address, think they live within the city limits.
Okay.
And so I believe, how many did we say we thought lived out west of the city limits? I mean, west of the railroad track in the city limits.
One house back in the field.
Pardon?
One house back in the field on.
There's gonna be a whole neighborhood back on the left-hand side.
There's going to
They're
be.
going to be.
Won't be, but they ain't there yet.
I'm not against all that, but I still think there's something, Chapel Hill's a little bit reliable in trying to help, because them people do come through our area. They do our stores, they do our shopping, they use our gas station, they go to our schools. I know Chapel Hill's not responsible for it, but I think we need to do all what we can do in our power to find out who is and what it's gonna take to fix it. And that's where I stand on it.
Do we need to get CSX involved in this too, Mark? I mean, they are
The
players.
railroad needs to be involved, and Marshall County needs to be involved.
Yeah, there won't be anything happen to the underpass without CX.
Yeah, they own it. The railroads do own it.
Mary, I know that, can I speak again?
Yes.
Okay, so I know that you said that you've been looking up on the history of how all this came, the history of the water problems in town. And it may be for the other meeting, but do you know what the purpose was of digging that drainage hole behind our property on Maple originally, what the
I
purpose
do
of that was?
not, and I do not, but if that's a question, then we can, we hopefully, if you have that as one of your comments and would like to know, then maybe we can find that out.
Okay.
How long's that been dug out?
I don't know. It's
Before.
before.
I would say, does anybody here, do you know, remember, Miss Delt, when they built the ditch behind the restaurant back there? How many years ago that was? It was several years ago, but.
We have opened it up and we dug it.
So, but these are the types of, yes.
I live across the street from that property he was just talking about, and concern that we have is the water that if houses are built on that, the water that's being displaced, where is that water going? So is there any way that at this meeting that is there a planning committee or someone that,
There is a planning commission and, I'm hoping that you will, write that down
yes, ma'am.
and then it can be addressed at the 27th. That will be.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Blackwell, you'll be able to come for that meeting as well, hopefully?
Yes, please.
With the 27th.
The 27th, yes.
Right, because the 26th is the normal planning commission meeting. That's usually when the county commission meets, I believe.
So just to address what this lady over here just said, I don't know who she is, but probably there should have been a disclosure to them by their realtor or the builder of those homes over there, that water has always stood on that side of the road. And it has nothing to do with our property opposing them. We didn't cause their problem. Their problem existed before the builder came in there and brought fill dirt in. So to point to our side of the road and say, well, if they do anything over there, no, you should go back on your builder and your realtor for not disclosing your water problem when you purchased the property.
I think we'll try and do as much as we can and be ready on the 27th to have at least some effort put into trying to solve some things. And I appreciate you all taking the time to write these down, and we will try to get everything to them to the engineer as soon as possible. Because we really would like to solve the problem. I can promise you, everyone that sits around this table hopes to solve the problem.
Just as a point, I pulled up the 100-year flood map, and then there have been some changes that has caused a difference in the water flow over the past few years. Because when we rode around and looked at the 100-year floodplain, and I've been here pretty much my whole life, so I remember things that some people, a lot of you do remember, a lot of the people around here don't remember. And one thing I noticed was there were, even like behind our personal residence, the water, that is a 100-year floodplain. We knew that when we bought the property. We built at the location where it wasn't in the floodplain. And we've always understood water running behind our house for potentially days at a time before it goes down to a point where it'll stop. That's all fine and good. But what I've noticed recently is that places in the 100-year floodplain that used to not drain before the property up there that we own on Maple are now drained out before that property ever clears. So there's been some changes within the city limits with building and not and hauling in gravel to certain lots and things like that. And maybe it was as simple as someone not putting an adequate storm pipe in that was big enough to carry the flow of that water. There's a lot of things like that when people come in, they say, oh, well, it's okay to do that. You can do this, you can do that. But when there seems to be a problem with impeding the flow of water more so than it was historically.
Well, if you will please put all of that down so we
Yes,
have a
ma'am.
big
I
picture.
understand.
I appreciate that.
Thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you.
Is there a deadline for having these questions?
As soon as possible.
Okay.
There's, as they come in, I'm sure there's not one where.
Has everybody got one of these
But
ones?
we would
I
like.
need one.
I need an extra one for the wheel.
And one thing I will have to say that I have observed about and this has to do with our drainage sinkhole wide. If you look at the sinkhole that's across the road on the Chun property, it's been there all my life. I've lived here all my life. It's been here, and that's not gone down yet. And you can pretty much see that water balance is, and that impacts what is at the railroad because that's through a sinkhole. I just want to, kind of point that out.
Is the pump still running?
I can't say that it was running today. I don't know. I didn't go check. So
I haven't checked today either. Typically, as long as there's water in there,
it's supposed to
it'll be
be.
running.
Well, I just have one more thing to say about our property is there is trash that come up out of that hole all over the front of our property. Now, do we leave it there? Somebody clean it up?
I believe you better write that down and we believe you.
I wouldn't count on anybody picking it up for you.
Okay.
From
Any other
experience.
comments?
Is this meeting gonna be held here?
The one on the 27th, yes, because it's city engineers.
I think the next question is, are we gonna move it to the center since there's gonna be so many people? I believe that was your
Yeah,
email.
yeah.
I'm sorry.
To accommodate, I figured a lot of people show up.
That might be something we look at when we see the number of, comments that we've had and
Mayor, and, one more thing, if we have a commission meeting that night, it'd be hard for some of us to make it, so.
well, that's when we could get the engineer, so I don't
Okay.
think we're gonna be able to but maybe after it's over, y'all could kind of hightail it down here if you can, you know.
We'll wait on it until it's done. We got one right here. We got a question.
Very quickly, I have reached out to CSX to no avail to see if I could get them to attend a meeting. Who would be responsible to see if they would attend?
Well, all we can do is ask them as well. We have no authority to tell them what they can and cannot do.
I didn't know
We
if
can
you
invite
had
them, but
contact for them.
we will see if we can.
They are very difficult to work with. That's why it's not
Yes.
painted. That's why it's not all the cracks in it and stuff. Because I've been fighting that for years and years before I was even an alderman. And
Yeah.
they will not shut that down for nothing.
No, I know, I understand. I mean, I work for the state myself, so, the left hand doesn't talk to the right hand
I
very
just
well.
honestly believe
but-
we're not trying. but
No,
it's-
I fully believe you guys are, but I'm the one who had the emergency last week and I'm used to the inconvenience of having to go around when Depot Street's flooded right there. But when I'm calling 911 because my neighbor's having a massive
I
heart
thought that
attack,
was you, yes.
that was me.
Right.
And then for 911 to let me go because the ambulance was taking so long and they couldn't stay on the phone with me, that causes grave concern because if that would have been my 9-year-old,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, but this is a 70-year-old lady. This is her third heart attack, and she has cancer has riddled her body basically. So I don't want anybody to chalk it up to, well, she's going to pass away anyway. But something needs to be
How
done.
old did you say she was?
She's 70.
Such a young thing. Okay. Any others? Then we'll move on to communication from me, and I think I've said all I need to say tonight about, we do have a couple of meetings this week, and we will meet again in work session tomorrow night, strictly to address the process of hiring a new treasurer. Reports are in your packets. Anyone have any questions?
I have,
Okay.
the events committee, I don't know if maybe I should bring this up under other business. If you read your packet, we're doing since our firemen are all volunteer and don't get paid, we thought we'd do an appreciation supper for them the night of fireworks. I would like to ask for $500 from the town to get them little party favors and food and stuff.
Does that have to be approved to us, Mark? Or is that something you could just approve?
I can approve that, but since it's in July, we can get it in the budget, that's no problem.
So we should be good on that.
I have all your information for movies
So we
in the
have a
park, too.
consensus on that. what
The
they
movies in the
take.
park.
All
They
right.
were doing it in Laverne. I got all
Then
of the
we
contacts.
will move on to 10A, ordinance 2021-02, adopt 2018 fire code, second reading. I'll entertain a motion.
I moved.
I second.
I have a motion by Alderman Morton. I have a second by Alderman Falconberry. Any discussion? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Motion passes. Ordinance 2021-03, rezone parcels. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
I have a motion by Alderman Falconberry. Do I have a second? I have a second by Alderman Hill. Any discussion?
Is this second reading?
This-
It is. Second.
All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Uh,
Any opposition? Motion carries. New business, resolution. Renovation. This is for, the, cost of renovating, which is $49,452. We have that money, in the budget.
And we are hiring somebody to come in and do that.
We are hiring that, but we accept the bid from J&J Homes, which would be Gilbert, Jonathan Gilbert. Do I have a motion?
Was this input from the library committee on how you wanted it done? Okay.
All right, I have a motion by Alderman Morton, a second by Alderman, did I hear that?
Yeah.
Alderman Hill.
This was figured in the last year's budget.
This was, when we first just talked about buying this building, we allocated $900,000 for the two projects. And we spent probably $735 or so today.
Okay, any other discussion, any other questions? I believe we need to call rolls if it involves money, is that right?
That would be best.
Okay,
Alderman Morton,
Yes.
Alderman Hill,
Yes.
Alderman Sedlak,
Yes.
Alderman Williams,
Yes.
Alderman Fogelberry,
Yes.
Alderman Joyce.
yes. Okay, resolution 2021-10, town hall sign.
I'll make a motion.
I have a motion by Alderman Falconberry, a second by Alderman Williams. Do I have any discussion?
Let's go with.
I like it. Did y'all see
Yes.
sign for the front of the building?
Any other discussion?
Can you see that fire?
If you will call roll, Mark.
Alderman Morton,
Yes.
Alderman Hill,
Yes.
Alderman Sedlak,
Yes.
Alderman Williams,
Yes.
Alderman Fogelberry,
Yes.
Alderman Joyce.
Yes. Resolution 2021-11, authorize board members to sign and remove Chris Lowe and Mark Graves from check signatures.
I'll make a motion.
Should we do that this month or is that next month since he has to go? to the
Mark,
end?
changing your mind on it?
It's in the thing, it says to the end of, removes him at the end of May. It removes immediately.
Remove immediately.
And that's, I think Kelly thought because the ones that are in town during working hours, and this we'll probably remove it again when we've got two. I think I've been on there for a long time and never signed a check until recently.
I'll
So
make a motion.
until Chris, I have a motion. Alderman Falconberry, do I have a second?
Yeah, well, so,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Oh.
Okay, no.
Yeah.
I have Alderman Hill seconds. All in favor, letting me know by saying aye. Any opposition, hearing none, motion carries. Any other business? Entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
I have a motion by Alderman Morton. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, rise.